Well, folks, here we again for the weekly forecast. And of course, during this last week, we dealt with the severe weather over the weekend and into early Monday evening, when we seen thunderstorms develop basically between a line from Lincoln and Omaha over through southeast Nebraska. That line produced at least 5 tornadoes. We don't know if there'll be any additional reports on that. It just depends on damage assessments. We did see 1 to 3 inches of precipitation and a narrow band about a county to county and a half wide all the way to the Missouri River. And of course, we dealt with some significant hail up to tennis ball size. So I'm sure we've seen some crop damage, and that was the price to pay for some of this precipitation. In fact, that precipitation kept us from expanding some of the dryness issues in southeastern Nebraska, particularly Richardson County, where we were basically looking at bringing it back up to a D2 level, which would be severe drought. Now, we held off because of the precipitation, but with this heat that we're enduring this week, we would expect to see the drought monitor expand to incorporate some of this recent heat. And if we go to the most current drought monitor, we can see just automatically who is being impacted by this severe drought. And again, once the southwest is the big key area of this drought, it has shown some slight improvements in the Texas Panhandle, but we still see that dryness spreading toward the northeast. And with these 100-degree weathers, we would expect to see it expand even farther toward the north. There is good news, though. We do have some potential precipitation moving into this region with a tropical system coming up the Baja Peninsula, so this might give the firefighters in this region a little bit of a break. And if we look at the upper air pattern for today, we get high pressure over the southeastern United States. We have a trough in the upper atmosphere, and we have a system that will come up the Baja Peninsula that will help to funnel moisture into this trough. So we do see some surface lows, and these are basically rotating around the upper air trough, and each one of these will have the ability to trigger some thunderstorm activity. So here you see that moisture flow from the tropical system. Most of the moisture around this upper air trough is going to be over the northern plains and northwestern portions of the state. And as we go into tomorrow, we don't see much change in that upper air trough. We do see those surface lows still pivoting around it. We do show one surface low trying to develop in south central Kansas. This will really pump the Gulf moisture up into the system. It looks like a widespread precipitation event from the central Rockies up through southern Minnesota. Now, as we get into Monday, this system tries to make it a little farther east, and that's going to push a cold front through the state. We'll see the surface low basically over the Four Corners region. That moisture will feed up to it. The advancing cold front will start pushing through our region on Monday, bringing much cooler conditions into our region, but it does look like the precipitation is not nearly as significant in eastern Nebraska it was in western Nebraska. Tuesday, high pressure system starts to break apart a little bit. We still see that low pressure system down to our south. That's going to pump that moisture up, but it looks like the cool air from that high pressure moving down to the south will keep that moisture from coming up into eastern Nebraska and keep it well to our south. As we get in the day on Wednesday, we see that low pressure system basically is falling apart. We do see surface lows in the west, but they're pretty diffuse in nature. High pressure is the big matter in control, and most of the moisture will be right around the periphery of this high as it pumps that moisture around what we call the ring of fire. And then as we go into Thursday, we start to see the ridge trying to build back in. We'll start to see a warming trend as we get later in the week, high pressure firmly in control. So we wouldn't expect much in the way of significant moisture. Most of it, once again, will be at the intersection of that high pressure trough or low pressure trough and high pressure to our east. So on Friday, we start to see the ridge building back up and the heat returns in earnest. We're going to be well back up into the 90s, unfortunately, and it looks like more heat for next weekend. Surface low down in Texas. Looks like it's going to generate moisture, and that would be basically the warm air trying to push its way eastward. But we see a very dry pattern in the eastern United States, and if we look at the 8 to 14-day forecast, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to see very warm conditions from next Thursday through the following Tuesday. And in terms of precipitation, most of it stays in the southern United States.